Welcome to Meet the Candidates, the local election forum from Pioneer PBS. This season, we asked every candidate the same list of questions to learn more about what type of legislator they will be if elected. In this episode, we will meet candidates from Minnesota House District 16B. District lines have changed since the 2020 census. District 16B is made up of most of Kandiyohi County. Major cities include Willmar, Spicer, and New London. To find out which district you live in, visit mnvotes.org. And now, let's meet the candidates. We will start with the DFL candidate, Fred Codgelo.
First, thank you to Pioneer TV for this opportunity, and to you viewers for your time. This interview will necessarily be brief. I encourage the audience to visit my website, codgelofor16b.com, for elaborated viewpoints. My name is Fred Codgelo from Willmar, Minnesota, and I'm running to represent most of my home county of Kandiyohi. Soon 73, I cannot claim to have gone far in life, still residing in the home of my birth, a house built in 1900 for my great-grandfather. For over 4 decades, I commuted all of 30 steps to enter my place of employment, Niflheim. From that studio, I managed to establish a prominent international reputation in the world of wood carving. That fact, along with $5, entitles me to a cup of coffee at Lulu Beans. Earning a degree in political science at the U of Chicago gave me 4 years of city living. There followed 4 years of test run employment in early childhood education and working with troubled adolescents to see if such would inspire a return to graduate school for relevant degrees. I loved working with kids, but not the requisite brickwork. Besides a compulsive need to use my hands, working with wood was increasingly apparent. I've always been moderately involved in politics, and more than a little dismayed that we, who pretend to be Homo sapiens, allow nuanced consideration of issues to be sabotaged by gut reactions and inattention. My alarm has grown over the years. It used to be said that all politics are local, but is increasingly the reverse, to the point that our nation faces existential threats from our own sociopolitical chickens coming home to roost. Over the years, my studio provided respite from the maddening nature of politics. Love of that refuge combined with career demands and spousal disinclination to prompt refusal of Tom Box requests that I run 2 decades ago. The equation has changed. There comes a time when I step up to the plate. While I strive to always remain humble, lovable, and affectionate, I possess the requisite hubris to believe that I can make a difference.
Why do you want to be the representative for your district?
My run simply caters to limitless megalomania. In '66, I became first president of Willmar's Teenage Republicans. Then in '88, leapfrogged to become president of the Affiliated Woodcarvers, an international organization with a whopping 319 members. This run is simply the next step en route to becoming president for life of these United States. That's my official story. In truth, the key motivator was simply extreme dismay at the level of political discourse in a recent GOP primary. Politics, like fiction, has always demanded suspension of disbelief to some degree, but the Republican ads were ridiculous. The lead candidate ran against a socialist takeover while his chief rival accused him of being a closet socialist for having voted for a particular bill. If by socialism they mean government ownership of industry, they're just plain wacko. If they're talking about the various degrees of social welfare, they had better be upfront with any plans to abolish Medicare and Social Security. Republicans bemoan abortion, but they're crazy eager to abort intelligent policy debate through buzzwords and misdirection. Example, Palin and Bachmann only had to cry death panels to end discussion of end-of-life counseling, the only provision on which both sides had been agreeing. My high school fantasies of dropping out to join the Army were waylaid by family expectations and inertia. Following years informed me of the hubris and fallacious premises that squandered lives, resources, and environment in Vietnam and left me relieved that earlier impulses went nowhere. All the same, each Memorial Day, I reflect on the service to the country by so many of my peers, and this year decided, in the absence of a better candidate, that it was my obligation to make this lesser sacrifice to do my duty. We need candidates with principle who will question their views and assumptions as well as those of opponents, and who will speak truth to their own power base. Candidates who will assess their own contradictions and seek to resolve them. Candidates who will push for resurrection of the fairness doctrine, the demise of which foreshadowed our political hyperdivision.
What are your priorities for the next legislative session?
To address legislative gridlock, I propose legislator pay have a performance element based on a sliding scale reflecting family income. Up to 25% of pay should be held in escrow, with that sum to be forfeited if the bodies fail to conclude their business by end of session. More details on my webpage. Creating more nuanced accounting. The GNP records expenses that remedy disasters simply as pluses, when such expenditures merely reflect recovery rather than advancement. Refining and adopting the General Progress Indicator Index would, alongside the GNP, give policymakers a fuller picture of the economic realm. Environmentally, we need to address climate change, pollution from plastics, and forever chemicals. In early childhood education, I believe that parents, particularly in the lower income brackets, need assistance and incentives to send their children to school with greater self-restraint and larger vocabularies, the latter being a chief indicator of future academic success. I further believe that teaching awareness of susceptibility to influencers and the methods of manipulation will improve the classroom setting and social responsibility. In later grades, having community service requirements will do likewise. Preparing for transition to fewer gas, ethanol-powered vehicles may mean changes in the mix of crop production, including lots of hemp, with state investments in research and financing of processing facilities required. We will need also to prepare for seismic shifts in the auto maintenance field. The Attorney General should be prompted to examine domain carve-outs that prevent, in some areas, installation of county-wide 5G Wi-Fi. As an environmentalist, I would like to promote legalization of human remains composting, as has been adopted elsewhere.
What unique perspective do you bring to the Minnesota House?
We're shaped by experience. Key among mine were my religious upbringing, the death of my father when I was not quite 7, and the struggles that meant for my mother, a 45-year-old housewife left with 6 kids ages 3 to 13 and no financial assets. Her hard work and steadfast nature, along with community support, kept the wolf from the door. Witnessing her plight and experience has made me a strong feminist. I know what it means to assume responsibility early on, and what it means to be first regarded as slow and later as the opposite, to lack confidence and later assume it, to be a klutz and then regarded as adept. I was bullied a bit and learned to direct my foes towards other victims so as to protect myself. I learned from being the other and know the shame of having made classmates that other. Early fascination with history left me with considerable empathy for our Native Americans and others on the short end of the stick. Spending 7 decades in the same Wilmer home has left a special awareness of changes in neighborhoods, the city, countryside, the local economy, and climate. I observed impacts from shuffling elderly widows and spinters off to apartments, from rental housing replacing home ownership, and from increasingly short-term residency, often involving students and immigrants speaking no English. I've seen neighborhood expectations change as ties ebb and flow, and now hope a lesser threat from COVID will allow resurgence of neighborhood gatherings. Connections to farming kin brought familiarity with the loss of small farms, natural lakeshore and woodlots, and the explosion of exurban development. I watched small developments in the bypass sap life from downtown, and immigrants increasingly becoming the backbone of that district. Also the influx of big box outfits draining life from the malls. I've watched character and aesthetic considerations take a backseat to expediency. 4 decades plus of life as a woodworking artist has offered its share of lessons on business and promotion and their relation to changing economies and cultures.
What is your vision for the future of Minnesota?
I view American history as a story of continuing efforts to resolve our inherent contradictions. Our Declaration of Independence held all men to be created equal, while the Constitution counted slaves as 3/5 of a human, and then only to increase the political weight of their masters. Women likewise were considered only as bodies for others to represent, while Indians were to be banished and exterminated. Those were the original and greatest contradictions, and we've been struggling with their consequences ever since. Contradictions and hypocrisies abound. We proudly assert that our flag represents freedom of speech, but when a knee is taken during the national anthem as a protest, an exercise of free speech, we go bananas. In honoring that assemblage of cloth, we attack that for which it symbolically stands. Worse yet, those so righteously indignant scarcely said boo when some of their cohorts used flagpoles with flags that attached to assault Capitol police officers. We complain about taxes, yet assume that others should be taxed to indulge our priorities. For example, aren't the sums paid to harden schools and treat shooting victims in effect subsidies to the gun industry? We limit loss of community, yet pledge our allegiance to the lowest price rather than local merchants, and spend more time socializing online than we do with neighbors. I envision a more contemplative society, one in which we reflect upon our obligations to the planet and the nation as well as to each other, and our impacts upon all. One in which we distinguish between truly inalienable rights and presumed entitlements. A society in which we prepare parents for parenting and optimize their prospects for the children, not simply financially, but culturally as well. We remain a nation with a frontier mentality. We're devoted to our property and our toys, and presume neighbors and nature owe us the right to use them as we wish. Somehow we need a more balanced approach, more considerate of others' domains. I am hoping for an evolution to our capitalism which might constrain its insatiable appetite and leave it serving us more than we serve it.
And now, a closing statement.
My campaign's motto is simply, it's on each of us to be informed, responsible, somewhat altruistic in consideration of environment, community, and future generations. I envy the days when a local politician could simply have a short-term focus on jobs, education, and infrastructure, and not concern himself with existential threats to nation and planet. I empathize with those who feel their world is no longer familiar, and that many of their traditions are imperiled. I wish it could be otherwise, but more changes are en route. In my youth, we wondered how a nation as cultured and educated as Germany could come under the sway of someone like Hitler. We presumed Americans immune from such folly. Hitler followed the handbook of Mussolini, and now we have seen Trump do likewise, nearly achieving success. Key to their common strategy was destroying faith in institutions and co-opting political, financial, and industrial elites. Considering that Trump, who insisted he alone could save America, claimed rampant fraud plagued elections well before his 2016 election, yet became the most powerful man on the planet for 4 years, was early on predicting vast corruption in the 2020 election, isn't his failure to harvest any convincing evidence proof that he, Trump, is either full of hooey or incredibly incompetent? His good Christian backers are commanded to refrain from bearing false witness, yet exempt themselves from facing facts by arguing that his defeat proves the deep state is even deeper than imagined. Liz Cheney has it right. The greatest present threat to America is the GOP. I know the pain of divorcing oneself from one's party, but it's time for patriotic Republicans who yet value their dignity to repudiate that poor excuse for a leader. If my opponent will explain just what he's accomplished in 8 years and will actively refute Trump and his lies, Republicans ought to reward his record and integrity with their votes. But should he continue with the party strategy of accommodating the tyrant and running on balderdash, I would welcome them to join independents and Democrats in supporting me and my efforts to seek real solutions to our problems. Thank you.
You can find more information online about Fred Cogelo at his website, cogelofor16b.com. Next, the Republican candidate, Dave Baker.
Hi everybody, my name is Dave Baker. I am running for the state of Minnesota's House of Representatives again for District 16B. I have been honored to serve most of Candiac County in the Willmar, Spicer, New London, Atwater area, and now Princeburg and Raymond areas are sort of the new districting part that I hope to represent when I go to St. Paul, if elected in November. I have been honored to serve this area for about 8 years. I am married to my high school sweetheart, Mary, for the last 37 years. I have 3 kids and really have enjoyed living in the Willmar Lakes area. We run a hospitality company. I work in St. Paul really hard because I want to get a lot of things done. As an employer, I know it's important to hire people and what the challenges are right now for workforce issues. I'm an energy guy. I want to make sure our energy costs are maintained, our energy is reliable, and it's affordable, and it's clean. I think those are all important components about what we need to do about energy. I care deeply about students and our teachers. I care about our roads and bridges. I want Minnesota to be competitive with taxes, and I'm looking forward to a short conversation with you to have in this short program. And again, I also want to thank Pioneer TV for allowing us to do this today. So thank you.
Why do you want to be the representative for your district?
It's a great question. Why I initially ran to be a representative is because I really cared about what was happening with our tax policies, and they were raising the fourth level of tiers taxes in Minnesota. I was extremely concerned when I saw a lot of very successful Minnesotans saying, Dave, I don't need to live here anymore. I'm going to leave the state. I'm going to take our business with us. And that frightened me. So I actually dug deep to say if this is the right time for me to run for office. I had been recruited for a number of years by different folks to say you should think about this, but I was always way too busy. So that, in a sense, is what engaged me to say this is important. Any senator, any state senator or state representative needs to make sure that they're listening to people. And I felt that my voice wasn't being heard, and so I decided to stand up and do something about it. In the meantime, I have learned a great deal amount of issues that are facing Minnesota. So when I decided to run, I had to learn a lot of things. I was very lucky to win by just a few hundred votes the first time I ran, and I've been running hard ever since. My actions are getting things done in St. Paul. I want to go back. I want to continue my work because we have a lot of work that has yet to be done. So I am proud to be representing again that basic same area for Candiac County with the new redistricting. Can't wait to get back in there and roll up my sleeves. I'm hoping that we're going to be in the majority, the Republicans in the state of Minnesota for the Minnesota House, and do some really good work this year.
What are your priorities for the next legislative session?
You know, the priorities don't change a ton from session to session. However, they're very big and there's new things that are emerging. I will tell you that workforce is an area in my business that's important. Teaching, medical services, transportation, we are all short of people that can do the job. And so we're seeing things that around us that are not getting done as quickly and that we can't open as many doors as we wish we could because we don't have the staff. So workforce is going to be a very important issue for us to focus on. What is the state doing to either get in the way, and maybe we got to get out of the way, but what we don't need when we have such a low unemployment rate is to come up with new programs to get people to work. Either you want to work or you don't. And I want to encourage people to say it's time to stand up and let's get to work. If you're not working, there's some great jobs out there. Employers are paying better than ever. We know how important the assets are for employees to be there. And employers like myself are ready to get in and help people find that balance of life. So that's an important issue. Public education, private education is a very important thing. I'm very proud to work alongside many, many teachers in rural Minnesota to make sure that we're listening to them, giving them the tools and the resources and the support that they need. I've been proud to continue to support good finance for our public schools, support the funding that we need to do to keep our schools open and vibrant. And we have to do a better job finding new teachers and maybe pay our new teachers better because that's important to get that going. Energy is another important issue. So I know that, again, I mentioned it earlier, we have to do a better job with renewables, with baseload power, keeping it affordable, but keeping it reliable. Those are some of the issues that I want to make sure I stay focused on when I return to St. Paul.
What unique perspective do you bring to the Minnesota House?
You know, what makes Dave unique? I don't know. I think what I really try to do is try to be an authentic candidate who comes back every 2 years and asks for this job back. I want to keep doing this job until I feel like I'm not making a difference any longer. It's a lot of work to do this, and I want to do it for a purpose, and that is to make Minnesota better, make rural Minnesota better. I am extremely frustrated right now with the leadership in the executive branch that I have in years past always worked very well with. I am a moderate Republican and I'm proud to work alongside members on both sides of the aisles to get things done. But what I saw happening during the COVID, when I gave up my power because of the executive orders that were coming, we didn't know what was happening. I never expected our governor to use his power the way he did, and I was so hurt and bothered and felt disrespected by our leader that he never reached out to us when we've asked many times, why are you shutting down churches? Why are you doing this at such a long period of time? Again, I've learned a lot from that. So what I want to do is to make sure that we do things differently in Minnesota. We need to do separate bills, not do large bills with a whole bunch of little bills in a bill called an omnibus bill. We need to break those things up. And I'm really committed to making sure that I want to be part of a solution to do that better so that we can work on smaller bills and make sure that we do not have these large bills that wait till the end of session and a few people make decisions. We can change the way we do business in Minnesota and in St. Paul. I want to be one of those members that is committed to doing things different so that that uniqueness and that authenticity that I want to be is what I'd like to be remembered for when I'm done serving in the Minnesota House.
What is your vision for the future of Minnesota?
Minnesota is such a fabulous place to live. I love Minnesota. With the lakes and the trees in northern Minnesota, with our ag businesses and our commercial and industrial, everything around Minnesota is amazing. I love Minneapolis and St. Paul. We need to make sure that our areas of concern, Minneapolis and St. Paul, have a serious crime issue and a public safety issue that we need to all embrace about helping them get it right. It was failed during the riots, during COVID. The cities and our metro area needs our support and our help. We're better at Minnesota when everybody is doing better. So I'm committed to helping the entire state do a better job in managing our taxes, having our public safeties systems all set up, getting more officers on the streets where they're needed, but doing it better and doing it in a different way that we've done before. I think Minnesota has a vision that we can be more balanced. We don't have to be, even considering rules like the California emissions rules that they want to force us to be pushing into electric cars when we're not ready and it's cold in Minnesota. I want to make sure that we've got balanced policies that actually we don't change every 2 to 4 years when there's a new change in leadership. When you see that happening, that's not good for anybody because then you're all reacting and that's just, it's not good policy. I want balance in Minnesota. I want Minnesota to be seen as a very hardworking, purple state that can do really good things, that we can get along, we can get things done, stay competitive with our neighboring states with taxes and energy costs so that we can bring in new businesses. I see Minnesota as having a great future because of our resources and the hard workers that live here in Minnesota. I can't wait to see what the future of Minnesota looks like.
And now, a closing statement.
I just want to thank again Pioneer Public TV for allowing me to do this today. I want to thank my opponent, Fred, for doing this alongside of me too, and all of the candidates that are actually running for office. I think this is a big deal. To take part of your life and to want to dedicate it to public service, this is something that I will forever treasure as long as the voters allow me to go back. Again, I'm a hospitality guy. I'm a person who really believes in working together, never giving up your very important moral compass of what I believe in. I'm proud to be pro-life. I'm proud to be Second Amendment. I also know that we have to have conversations about other things that are challenging and hard. I don't really get into the hard fringes on the right or the left because I don't know that we're getting there. We have to listen to people, and I hope that Minnesotans have seen in my district, I've been a good listener. I go to a lot of meetings and talk to a lot of folks. What I care about is if I don't go further on this year and I don't make this cut, I sure hope I do, but they always will say, you know what, I always felt heard with Dave. I will continue to do that as long as I'm able to serve our area. Again, I just want to thank the voters from District 16B now. Most of Kaneohe County, I can't thank them enough for allowing me to serve in your area for this long. I'm grateful, and I hope that I can serve again for the next couple of years. So thank you so much.
You can find more information online about Dave Baker at his website, davebaker.gop. Learn more about voting, how to register, and what district you live in by visiting the Minnesota Secretary of State website at mnvotes.org. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th. Thank you for watching Meet the Candidates on Pioneer PBS.